of what I did. Fame wasn't the driving force, that the work was, and I didn't want to be lumped in with those celebrities that do anything to become famous. Do you know what I mean? And I was very prickly about the whole subject, and one of the first interviews I did after The Office broke in about 2001, the journalist really rubbed me up the wrong way with this question. She said, so what advice would you give to anyone else who wants to become famous? And I went, I'd tell them to go out and kill a prostitute. Which I thought was a really clever answer. She looked at me like I was mental. And I didn't do this bit in Ipswich. A local paper called me from Ipswich, and she went, are you worried about offending people? I went, well, yeah, because it's not the point of what I do. And she went, no, but the joke's about the Ipswich murder. I went, it's not a joke about the Ipswich murder. That's a true anecdote. I really said that to a journalist, and it happened 6 years before the Ipswich murders, which ruined her angle a little bit. And she actually went, oh, did you hear about the Ipswich murders, and that's what reminded you? I went, no. It's nothing to do with murder, it's a slight on fame. It's like going, well, if you just want to become famous, do something horrendous. That was... And I explained it to her, and she went, oh, well, thanks very much. So the next day, she went with the headline, Ricky Gervais apologises for sick joke. I thought, what are the rules? I've explained it to her, and she does these vox pops and this whole sort of string of Chinese whispers. Oh, that's racist. I'm so sorry about this. I don't know what's come over me. Suggesting that Chinese people can't whisper. Sorry about that. That would be a strange racial trait, wouldn't it? Bigots getting hold of that one, going... The trouble with the Chinese is, they can't fucking whisper. What? They can't whisper. Of course they can. They can't. The Chinese cannot whisper. Watch this. Jane, whisper to me. Hello! Oh, for fuck's sake. Shouting hero must be racist. Come on. On the same day, The Sun published a picture of Jade Goody with the caption, racist scum. They published a picture of that Chinese snooker player with the caption, pot noodle. But when the journalist said to me, oh, what advice would you want to become famous? And I go, I tend to go to prostitute. It's meaning, look, if you think that's all you care about, just being famous, you can do something terrible, if that's the only aim. Serial killers want to become famous. The way it's going, where people do anything to be famous, I can imagine people at home now read, or a leader of men. And all the way through history, that was the case. 500 years ago, the most famous man on the planet was Leonardo da Vinci, because of all the great things he did. He was a painter. He was an inventor. Oh, go on, mate. Sorry. I can't do one-on-one. It's a big place. In a much smaller room, I'd still ignore you, cunt. Shush. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci. It really annoys me when you hear these people go, you know Leonardo da Vinci? Yeah, he invented the helicopter. No. Yeah. 500 years ago he invented the helicopter. No, he didn't invent the helicopter. Doing a sketch of something and going, this'll fly, isn't inventing anything. I think back then he'd have folded under questioning, so I go, wow, how should it fly exactly? Sir Isaac Newton, most famous man in his day because of all the great things he did. The laws of motion, discoverer of gravity. I was talking to Carl Pilkington. Yeah, he's a different sort of genius though. And we got onto science and stuff, and he was going, who's the best, who's this and that, and I said, well, I suppose Isaac Newton's generally considered the father of modern physics, and he went, what was so good about him? I went, wow, he did the laws of motion. I went, he discovered gravity. Carl went, what? I went, he discovered gravity. Carl went, it wasn't a problem. I went, what? He went, we weren't all floating about, were we? I went, no, listen. No, the story goes, Isaac Newton was sitting under a tree one day, and an apple hit him on the head, and Carl went, why wasn't he at work? On the subject of fame, right? Did you see Celebrity Love Island last year, when Bianca Gascoigne said her all-time hero was Callum Best? And we were talking about this the next day with Carl and my other friend Glyn, and Glyn went, Callum Best? But he's only famous because of who his dad was. And Carl went, yeah, but you could say the same about Jesus. Fucking hell. He's got a head like a fucking orange. Oh. But nowadays, you can become famous for nothing, really, just being famous. You can just go on... you can go on Big Brother and be famous. But for what? Well, Kinga... she's famous because in front of 56 cameras on national television, she shoved a wine bottle up her vagina. What do her parents think? When the neighbours came round the next day and went, saw your Kinga on telly last night. Oh, yeah, what was she up to? She was up to the fucking label. Nadia, first transsexual winner. That record's safe, I think. She went there for slightly different reasons. Hers wasn't fame, per se. Hers was affirmation, really. She wanted to prove something to herself and the rest of the world, and she didn't tell the other housemates she was born a man. She wanted to see if they believed she was a real woman, and they did, to be fair. I remember the blokes talking up behind her back one night, and they were going, that Nadia's a ugly woman. They spotted the jaw and the big hands. Do you know what I mean? It's always the giveaway, isn't it? Why would he do that? He was in Pretty Woman. Would he leave the set, go home and go, oh, Julia Roberts is lovely, but a German on the arm. Why would he? And even if he did, how would we know about it? Wouldn't you keep that pretty close to your chest? You know what I mean? What did you sidle up to a journalist and go, keep this under your hat? I like to shove gerbils up my arse. Nervous. Or did the pet shop man phone the paper and go, Richard Gere was just in here and bought a gerbil, so probably going to shove it up his arse? Can I have 100 quid? It's just... Of course he doesn't shove gerbils up his arse. I know that. But these things go in. And I know that's rubbish. But if I was to meet him, if I was round his house, and I was like, oh, nice to meet you, and he had a gerbil, I'd double take. And he'd see me, he'd go, what? I go, nothing, just a gerbil. He'd go, yeah. I go, a pet. He'd go, exactly. I go, oh. But when he went to the kitchen, I'd have to check. Go, tea, yeah, milk, no sugar. And I'd creep over, I'd lift up the lid, get the little guy out. You'd have to check. That is the only way you can check, really, because they can't grasp your... It's the perfect crime, really. They can't... You know what I mean? They can't call Esther Ranson. He's touching me again, so... Do you remember the one about Mark Ullman? Rushed to hospital with cramps, gave him a stomach pump, and found 10 different types of semen in his stomach. What doctor's this? I hope you feel better tomorrow, Mark. Let's have a look. 1. That's a different one. Who's counting the stomach sperm? Who's got... And the rumour that went with it, to sort of validate the story, was that Mark had just taken a lineup of sailors. What sailors were these? They get out of Portsmouth and go, oh... Gotta dance. Ah... Been at sea for 2 years, my bollocks are bulging, I need a woman. No, I don't. Here comes soft sell, that'll do fine. But you're always in the paper if you're famous. It's never that bad. The last thing that annoyed me even slightly was the Sun called up and said, oh, we know what house you've bought. I went, yeah. I said, we're going to show pictures of it tomorrow. I said, why are you going to do that? And they went, well, we're going to be nice about it. And I thought, well, they could have just done it, but they've warned me and keep on side, and I've got a good relationship, I think. And I went, oh, OK. I said, but... don't say where it is and don't say how much it is. So I did it the next day and went, it's in Hampton and it cost $2.5 million. Which really annoyed me, because it cost $3.5. And when you put in for planning permission, you put in, do a swimming pool, put that in, that's public record. No one told me, so it just appeared in 2 papers the next day, right? But even though they had the same little bit of information, they embellished... Oh, for fuck's sake. I said, can I just go right at the back? He went, yeah, sure. Went at the back. With the other celebrities. So, it was fine. We were right at the back, my girlfriend there, me was there, about a yard away, Chris Tarrant and his daughter, and in front of them, Aldo Zilli, the chef, and his wife. And they stand you up when each act comes on, and you clap, and that's it. But I don't know if Chris and Aldo had met before that evening, but they were getting on like a house on fire. They were, honestly, Aldo kept looking round, Chris was making him laugh, they were having a laugh, they were standing up, they were dancing along. Chris had his best sort of lilac jacket on, he's pushed it right up to the elbows like that. Yeah. And Ben did a Joe Cocker number, and Chris was sort of doing the actions, and Aldo was turning around and laughing. They were, oh, bless them. And it really is live, so in the ad break, nothing happens really. The judges get powdered, well, Simon does, and the warm-up man was going into the audience, keeping them amused. And on the night I was there, he probably does it every week, but he was saying, has anyone got any questions for the judges? And he went, little girl there with her hand up. How old are you, darling? 7. What's your name? Sarah. What's your question? For Simon. Simon, why do you smoke? Good question. Yes, Simon, why do you smoke? The girl was going, why do you smoke? And Simon went, smoking's good for you, dear. And they went, oh, God, oh. He went, back in 3, 2, 1. Okay? Next ad break, he goes, lady there with her hand up. What's your name? Emma. Where are you from? Essex. What's your question? Simon, will you marry me? And Simon went, why not? And they were, like, okay. As he was walking back, we saw Louis Walsh just tap his arm like that and show him something. And he went, what? Chris Tarrant's got a question. It was back in 3, 2, 1. And me and my girlfriend looked at each other and we thought, brilliant. Sometime before the show, Louis Walsh and Chris Tarrant have got together. Chris is going to ask a question. It's going to be a cheeky question to the judges. They're going to love it. The audience are going to love it. They're going to carry him down the street and he's going to be back. So, third ad break. He goes, Chris Tarrant in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. No, it was louder than that. I can't do 1,000 people. So he went, all right, Chris went, yeah. He went, this question's for Sharon Osbourne. You obviously married a very intelligent, articulate man in Aussie. That's as far as he gets. Because Sharon thinks he's going to have a go. So it goes like this. People are looking over it and goes, you obviously married a very intelligent man. Sharon puts her head up like that, looks at him and goes, fuck you, Tarrant. Everyone went, what? He went, now listen. No wonder your wife left you, cunt. I was like this. Kids looking at their mum. What did she called him a silly biscuit. That means a silly biscuit. Does it? Cunt. No, it doesn't mean that. Don't say that word. It doesn't mean biscuit. Don't. And Louis is going, no, Sharon, don't. You go, no, fuck him. He's going fucking they're back and forth. And we think it must have been Louis' idea, because he was going, I'm sorry. Like that, right? And they're back and forth. He's going, what happened to church? He goes, you bang. She was like, Old Testament God. And he was going, what's the church? He went, listen, he said, I've known your hubby for 25 years. I'm not having a bloody go. Back in 3, 2, 1. The last act comes out. Everyone stands up. Apart from Chris, who is like this. What happened there? I've just been mauled. I've been humiliated. I feel like putting the sleeves down. And that's the end of that show. And now it goes over to ITV2 with Ben Shepherd before the results show. And Chris is booked on that show, and he's doing his thing. His mind's probably not on it. Everyone was talking about it half time. People going, what happened there? Was he going to have a go? Did he start off wrong? Did she take him on? She said there was a history. What went on? What was it going to be? Come back out for the results show, and we're all there waiting for it. I look over, 4 empty seats. Oh, fuck. About 30 seconds to go before it went live, they all came out and sit down, okay? Everyone stands up. This time, apart from Chris Tarrant, who's still like that. And now his daughter's like that as well. First ad break, Sharon Osbourne gets the mic, and she goes, I'd like to apologise to all the mummies and kiddies in the audience for my awful, awful language. But when someone belittles a loved one, we're like lionesses, aren't we? She gets a round of applause. I look at Chris, he goes, this is bollocks. Don't tell anyone that.